Yikes! Meghan attacks the Daily Mail. Now, Meghan Markle and her public relations team are in total meltdown as they heap lie upon lie upon lie about whether the Duchess has reached out to Thomas Markle, who is fighting for his life in a Philippines hospital, having lost his left leg to amputation. Now, what's happened is that Harry and Meghan are deeply concerned about how this story is playing out for their public image. They're really worried about the headlines, and they have focused their anger towards the Daily Mail newspaper, who have covered this story in remarkable detail. Now, this poor old man, who faces another risky operation shortly, wishes for nothing more than to see his daughter, and I quote, before he dies. Now, this guy, it's very tragic. He's battling alone in a hospital bed in a poor country thousands of miles away from Montecito, California. Meanwhile, his daughter Meghan's main focus is not the welfare of this guy, the man that brought her into the world, that gave her life, that spent $750,000 on her education and raised her as a princess from day one. No. She's not thinking about Thomas Markle. She's thinking about her public image, and has decided, quite amazingly, to attack the Daily Mail newspaper, which is the most read English language newspaper on planet Earth. So she decided to attack the Daily Mail because they've published an exclusive interview with Thomas Markle, which featured photographs of the 81-year-old from his hospital bed. Now, why is she so angry with the Daily Mail for doing that? The bottom line is she should be very happy, because she gets to see a photograph of her father, who she hasn't seen, of course, for 7 years, and she gets an update on his health, and we get direct quotes from how he's feeling and what he's going through. Any normal daughter would be grabbing the Daily Mail newspaper and thinking, thank goodness I've got some information about my father now. I can see a picture of him, I can look at the expression on his face, and I can get detail on what's going on, where he is, and how I can help. Instead, the Sussexes PR machine has decided to attack the Mail and the Mail on Sunday. So insiders close to the Sussexes, which, by the way, means the Sussexes, have singled out Mail on Sunday journalist and close friend of Thomas Markle, Caroline Graham, for supposedly manipulating Thomas Markle and being his puppeteer. How obnoxious, how arrogant, how rude. Do you think that Thomas Markle, who's been on this planet for 81 years and has raised a family and been a husband and been an award-winning Hollywood lighting director, do you think he's that stupid that he would allow a journalist like Caroline Graham to manipulate him and to be his puppeteer? What an insult, and what a big fat lie. So all of this is shocking, and I've got the full details of how the Sussexes people, okay, because this is, when you hear about an insider close to the Sussexes, that is the Sussexes. And that's Meghan saying, oh, could you please speak to this newspaper and say the following, right? That's what it is. It is careful media management. And she puts out these little stories and has these little leaks and gets friends to say this and insiders to say that. And that's what's happening now. If anyone's being manipulated, it is not Thomas Markle, it's you and I. Because what the Sussexes have tried to do since this story broke is pretend that they've reached out to Thomas Markle, pretend that they care, and the evidence would show they've done nothing. Nada, niente, nichts, auf die Treppe schnell. So, here's where we are with the pack of lies from the Duchess of Sussex so far in regard to whether she reached out to her father or not. So the latest claim, you won't believe this, folks, it's becoming in some ways a bit of a comedy. The latest claim is that Meghan has been personally phoning hospitals around the Philippines in an effort to track down her estranged father. What is she, Colombo? Can you get me the area code for Cebu, Philippines? Get me every hospital in the area now. Right? What is she, Inspector Clouseau? Inspector Morse? Colombo, one last thing. One last question. I think she takes us for fools. The idea that Meghan has been personally phoning hospitals around the Philippines in an effort to track down her estranged father. We know that Thomas is in Cebu. How many hospitals are there in Cebu? And we know that he's in the big one, because it was well reported that Thomas Markle Jr., who's been so caring towards his father and lives in the Philippines with his dad, Thomas Markle Jr. took his father from a smaller hospital where they weren't able to treat him and operate upon him, and they took him to the bigger hospital. How many hospitals are there in Cebu? I doubt there's more than 2 or 3. The latest development is that Meghan is said to be preparing a handwritten note for Thomas Markle after reports emerged that he underwent an amputation below the knee during an emergency surgery to remove a blood clot. So what we're hearing from Meghan's PR team is they're not happy with the Daily Mail for giving Thomas Markle a voice and letting us all find out how he's feeling and see a picture of him. And then what we're hearing is that, Meghan's been on the phone non-stop, banging on those phones to get hold of the hospital where Thomas is accommodated. And then we're hearing that she's preparing a note. Now, first of all, if any of this is true, which none of this is true. Literally, no, you can tell when Meghan's lying because her mouth is opening and closing. That is the evidence of a Meghan Markle lie. It's when I open my mouth like that, and then when I close it like that. My husband. Everything's a lie, a total fraud, a total phony. And now she's playing this strange political game as her father battles serious illness in hospital as he fights for his life. So we're told she's preparing a handwritten note. Can I just say, and let me ask you, let me know in the comments, if your father was fighting for his life and dying in hospital, would you really feel like you had time to write a letter and then send that letter with a stamp and registered post to the Philippines from the United States? How long is it going to take to get correspondence from Montecito, California to the Philippines? It could be a week. It could be 10 days. Who in God's name writes a letter to their dying father in 2025? You don't write a letter. You go on the internet, you buy a flight, and you go to the Philippines. So I don't believe the letter. That's complete nonsense with her weird calligraphy. Dear Father, I'm so sorry that I basically gaslit you for 7 years for the egregious crime of posing for photographs before my wedding. And I'm so sorry that you're fighting for your life and I can't remember which leg you haven't got now. Lots of love. Sorry, gotta go because I've got flower sprinkles to scatter over damp pillows with the lavender towels. Thanks. Bye. It's shocking. It's sad. It's very enraging. And at the heart of this is an old man, a lonely, sad, very unwell old man who's contemplating his final days with the distressing thought that he may never meet his grandchildren, his son-in-law, and he may never see his daughter again. Meghan Markle, by the way, the love of his life. From the moment she was born, she was the special one. She was the little princess. And Thomas Markle Sr. is on record as saying that the moment she was born, Thomas Markle Jr., right? Thomas's son said that when Meghan was born, his father's life changed forever. And he decided to devote his life and his energy and his passions to his daughter. And what's he got in return? Nothing. Just lies about a weird calligraphy letter. Dear Father, thank you for spending $750,000 on my education. And in return, I'm going to cut you out of my life forever and make you feel like a common criminal. Thanks. Bye. I've got to do the flower sprinkles now. And I'm going to drink rosé wine and have those weird honeys that I do and the jam, which has got eyelashes in it and chunks of my hair, and no one's buying it, and there's nothing for sale on my website. You're welcome. Bye. So a handwritten note. They do think we're stupid. The Sussexes think we're stupid, and we're not. Following several unanswered emails sent after news of Thomas's medical emergency broke on Wednesday, the Duchess has, according to sources, personally called several hospitals in an attempt to locate him, but with no success so far. The Telegraph newspaper, which is another formidable newspaper which the Sussexes absolutely hate. They hate all the good newspapers that go after the Sussexes. They hate the newspapers that hold them to account. The Telegraph understands that her team, Meghan Markle team, believes that Thomas is being treated somewhere in Cebu. the city he relocated to from Mexico earlier this year, though this has yet to be verified. We know he's in the Philippines. We know he's in Cebu. I've known this for almost a week now. But Meghan is apparently puzzled and doesn't know where he is in the Philippines, in all of the many hospitals they've got. It's pretty simple, Meghan. You fly to the Philippines, right? If you're just an ordinary person, she's world famous. So when she gets to the Philippines, she just has to get off the plane and go, "Hi, where's my dad?" That's it. "Hi, where's my..." It's 4 words, guys. This is not, a million phone calls to random hospitals. "Hello, this is Meghan Markle. Didn't you know I'm Meghan Sussex now? Please refer to me as Meghan Sussex, Her Royal Highness. Is my father in your hospital? Her Royal Highness. Meghan Sussex, Meghan Markle." Right? She doesn't have to be calling hospitals, which, by the way, I don't believe she has. I don't think Meghan has picked up the phone to anyone in a decade because she's a diva. She's a superstar. She gets someone else to do that. So, notwithstanding that, if you are Meghan Markle, you can literally arrive in the Philippines and just say, "Where is my dad? Where is my dad?" That's 4 words. And you will be directed to your father. The hospital said it. The hospital spoke to the Daily Mail, which is a formidable newspaper that the Sussexes hate. And the hospital staff said, "Oh, Meghan is a very special lady and we would love to have her here. And we would be very proud and I hope she comes." Right? So the hospital, Meghan is on everyone's radar. If she arrives in the Philippines, she will be taken to her father. And if you're an ordinary person, you're not famous, you're not Meghan Markle, and your old man is in the Philippines, and he lives in Cebu, you know what you do, don't you? A normal person that hasn't got her privilege. You get to the Philippines, you get a taxi, and you go to every single hospital in Cebu, right? And you tell the taxi driver, "Keep the engine running. I'm going to pop into this clinic, that outpatient's ward, this emergency room," okay? And you just go from hotel to hotel until you find your old man. She doesn't even have to do that, which tells me that she's got no interest in seeing her father, and that the only reason why we're hearing from her people, from insiders, that she's writing creepy calligraphy letters and that she's been on the phone trying to call hospitals, the only reason we're hearing that, and the only reason we got the original statement that Meghan Markle has reached out, which has been proven to be a lie because of some fake email to an account that Thomas Markle doesn't have, and he's not on email anyway because he's 81. The reason why we're getting all of this BS is quite simply because Meghan is sweating, right? She knows she's in trouble. It's not a good look that she does a TV show all about bringing the family together for Christmas and her father rotting in a hotel bed in the Philippines. She knows it's a bad look. She knows that her Hollywood comeback will be destroyed by this, especially if poor old Thomas passes. The guy is literally, he's had an amputation. He's down to 1 leg, and still his daughter won't see him. But what she's trying to do is as little as possible to preserve her image and preserve her reputation without actually doing what she needs to do, which is to comfort this guy and go and visit him. So it's pretty wild what's going on. And the efforts, this is what we're hearing from the Sussex PR machine, that Meghan's efforts to get hold of her husband have been partly in relation to the Mail on Sunday's exclusive interview with Thomas Markle. It's understood the Sussexes have attempted to work with the newspaper to establish contact with Mr. Markle, but have not received assistance. Are you... Sorry, guys, I'm really struggling today. Are you telling me that if Meghan Markle, right, or Prince Harry, who, in case anyone had forgot, is the son of the King of the United Kingdom, are you telling me that if Prince Harry calls the Daily Mail, right, that the editor is not taking that call? Prince Harry, for better or worse, is one of the most famous men in the world. He's, in many ways now, I hate to say it, but quite an historic figure. His father is the king and his mother was Princess Diana, the Princess of Wales, the most famous woman on the planet. So the guy has notoriety, he has fame, he has recognition. Are you telling me that if he calls the Mail and goes, "Hello, is that the editor of the Mail newspaper? It's Prince Harry, Wellesley's Happy Millionaire. Have you got a phone number for the hospital where my father-in-law is being treated? Because I think you probably have got that number because
you've just published an exclusive interview with him from the hospital with pictures of him in his hospital bed. So I suspect, not being like the sharpest tool in the box, but you probably got, the details of the hospital and maybe its phone number. Thanks.
The Daily Mail have just interviewed Thomas Markle. They've taken his photograph. One of their star reporters, Caroline Graham, is close friends with Thomas Markle. She texts him every day. She is the one that first found out about the amputation because Thomas Markle Sr. texted the Mail on Sunday's Caroline Graham saying, "I'm losing a leg." She was the first person in the world to find out about this. She found out before Thomas Markle Jr., before Samantha Markle. So Caroline Graham and Thomas Markle Sr. are like that. She works for the Mail newspaper. And now we're being told by the Sussex PR machine that they've been in contact with the Mail and that the Mail have not been able to help them to get Thomas Markle's details of which hospital he's in. I beg your pardon. Now, the couple hate the Mail on Sunday, and there is a background to this, which is that Harry has tried to sue the Mail on Sunday, and it was at the beginning of last year, in 2024, that he had to basically say, this ain't going to work, I'm going to lose the case. He settles out of court. He pays the Daily Mail's expenses as well as his own, and it's $1.5 million. So Harry is $1.5 million down as a result of an aborted effort at suing the Mail on Sunday, whose job is simply to publish the truth. Harry hates the press altogether. He hates the Sun. He hates the fact that they revealed, the Sun newspaper, which is owned by Rupert Murdoch, "I like Meghan Markle. She has a robust immune system and very elastic kidneys, in fact, and a good liver. A very capacious liver. Her liver, I've seen a scan. It's the size of Texas. It's a liver which has excellent function. I will say, like Meghan, it's a little toxic because of the Napa Valley rosé that she mainlines. But I don't mind Meghan's drinking because in some ways it's humanizing for her. She's a little bit less terrifying when she's had a drink." So, the Sun newspaper published details of the Clarence House face-to-face summit, in which it was revealed that Harry was shocked that he didn't get a VIP welcome. He was shocked by how formal it was. He was shocked by how short it was, and details of gifts were revealed by the Sun newspaper. Harry hated that, and he got his PR machine to issue a furious rebuttal about what the Sun had said, claiming that the Sun were trying to derail his reconciliation with his own father. Get over yourself! No one cares, Harry. So they hate the press. They're after now the particular bugbear is the Mail on Sunday. And you can imagine that Meghan is so humiliated by this front page news of Thomas Markle giving an interview to that newspaper with a photograph, with the headline being, "I just want to see my daughter." Thomas Markle, by the way, is the guy that's called out Meghan's lies the most. By the way, he's done it for years. Meghan claimed to have been the victim of prejudice growing up as a child. He said that's not true. He said the issue of RACE, it literally never came up. Right? He said it was not a feature of her childhood. But then, when it suited her politically, years later, "I was a terrible victim of prejudice." Indeed. And not to mention, of course, those allegations during the Oprah interview where she labelled an unnamed member of the royal family as RACIST. So wicked. Anyway, Thomas Markle is the guy that has called Meghan out. He knows her better than anyone, and he's like, all of this is complete BS. And now he says, Thomas Markle, right, the guy is fighting for his life, but he's been able to demonstrate the lies of his daughter. He said that he was confused by Meghan's claim that she'd reached out, insisting that he'd received no messages. Now, I like confused because Thomas is deploying a bit of understatement like the Queen used to do. Do you remember when the Queen said, "Recollections may vary, recollections may vary"? And this is what Thomas has done now with his, "I'm a little confused by Meghan's claim that she reached out to me because I've heard nothing." The bottom line is that poor old Thomas Markle has been trying to speak to Meghan for years. He has repeatedly appealed in interviews for his daughter to reconcile with him, at one point asking her to see him one more time before I die. After the wedding to Harry, he sent her a congratulatory message telling her she looked beautiful, and they exchanged comments about the ceremony before wishing the couple well on their honeymoon. That was the last call he ever received. Now, before moving to the Philippines, Thomas Markle Sr. gave numerous interviews about his daughter, often pleading for communication. He claimed in 2018 that he texted her every day with no reply, and he once threatened to give monthly interviews until she responded. Why wouldn't he? This guy's desperate. Portions of a letter written by Meghan in August 2018 urging him to stop speaking to the press were later printed by the Mail on Sunday. Now, in the latest dispute, Meghan's team first attempted, they say, to check the accuracy of media reports regarding their father's condition before emailing him. Now, listen, why? Again, just think about this as your own father. If you hear media reports that your father is fighting for his life in hospital, do you sit around for 2 or 3 days whilst an inquiry is carried out about the veracity of this journalism? Or do you jump on a plane and go straight to where your father is to see if it's true? You just sit around for a few days to check the veracity of media reports. If there's an even 0.25% rumour that your father is in a hospital somewhere dying, you go to see him. Even if it is fake news, right? Even if it is fake news, you don't take that chance. So all of this is obfuscation. It's window dressing. It's pretend. It's theatre from Meghan and from the Sussexes. Thomas Markle Sr. told the Mail on Sunday he was confused by claims Meghan had reached out, insisting that he'd not changed his phone number and had received no messages. Later reports suggested the Duchess's email was sent to an address that he hadn't used for 5 years, though sources said the message appeared to have been delivered and did not bounce. I mean, it isn't complicated. Aides have since clarified that Meghan would make contact if Mr. Markle or the Mail on Sunday provided a current email address or phone number or shared details of the hospital where he's being treated. See, Meghan's using this as an excuse to sit on her hands and do nothing. That's what's happening. She's actually playing for time. She's stringing this out. Complicating matters further, Thomas Markle reportedly does not have access to his mobile phone. Sources have stressed that even if Meghan had the correct number, it would be extraordinarily irresponsible for her to leave a voicemail, given Prince Harry's history with phone hacking. So here we go. It's all excuses. An excuse not to leave a message because it could be hacked. An excuse not to go to the Philippines because it may be misinformation and an untrue media story. Excuses not to reach out to him because I'm writing a calligraphy letter which takes 7 hours and then it's going to go via the snail mail of, regular post with, and, the America's greatest country in the world. The postal service, not the best. So everything is an excuse. We sent an email, but it didn't bounce back, but it seems like it was an old email, and we don't have a phone number, and we don't know whether the story is true. It's all excuses. And now she can't leave a message. The point is that you would do everything. If your father's dying, you leave a voicemail, you send a text, you do a WhatsApp, you send a letter, you call every hospital, you get on a plane, you get in a cab, you go to every hospital. You get it. I get it. Meghan doesn't get it. Well, she does get it. She knows exactly what she's doing. She doesn't want to see him, and she doesn't care. And it breaks your heart. It's a shocking, shocking way to treat your father. So, and also, by the way, this thing about the phone hacking, I don't buy that, because as long as you don't say anything that's really, really like controversial or, I don't know, exposing someone's, invading someone's privacy, there's nothing wrong with, I love you, Dad. I'm praying for you and I will see you soon, Meghan, right? Even if that was hacked, that's an okay message to be hacked. So the whole thing stinks to the high heaven. The Sussex PR machine and trying to justify her not leaving a message on his phone in case it's hacked. When you analyse that, given that the message would be innocuous, who cares if it's hacked as long as there's a 1% chance it gets to her father so that he can hear a loving message from her while he's still on the planet. Because don't forget, this is a race against time. He's just lost a leg. He's got a massive blood clot the length of the blinking, Mississippi River. And he's dying. He's dying in hospital. So you do everything. But there you go. What can you do? The whole thing's horrible. And Harry, by the way, I hope Harry has taken note of this, because he needs to know, in terms of how badly Meghan has treated her father, that he'll be next. Harry will be next. Right? If you look at her treatment of Thomas Markle, this is a guy that does everything for her and then gets dumped and ignored on his deathbed, well, Harry needs to wake up. Wake up, Harry! Because you'll be next, because this is how she treats people. And she did it to Trevor Engelson, and she did it to Jessica Mulrooney, and she did it to David and Victoria Beckham, and she did it to the royal family and the British people. And she did it to poor old Jeremy Clarkson, who made a joke about smearing poo at her, which was a reference to Game of Thrones. He wasn't being literal. He said, I hate Meghan Markle on a cellular level, right? It was harsh kind of comedy roast type remarks. She tried to get him cancelled from his Amazon show. She did it to Piers Morgan, who introduced her to the UK media scene. Not only does she dump Piers Morgan, gaslights him, never replies to his messages, she gets him fired from his morning show on British Breakfast TV. So Harry, take note, you will be next. And the consequences of this are so wide-ranging. I mean, King Charles will be horrified. King Charles, as an older man himself battling cancer, no doubt is concerned for the welfare of Thomas Markle. And wouldn't it be the most wonderful thing? And I think one of you mentioned it, you did, in the comments. Wouldn't it be great? And I love your comments, right? They're not part of the show, they are the show. And in one of your comments, you said, wouldn't it be great if King Charles issued a statement wishing Thomas Markle well? Oh, that would be so good. And he should do it. And I've got no doubt, because Charles, right, he's got his weaknesses, right? He's not perfect, but he's got a heart. He's got empathy, and no doubt he's concerned with a furrowed brow about the welfare and well-being of the father of his daughter-in-law. And he'll relate because he's got a serious illness. So that's the true honest thing. By the way, also another question, where's Doria? I mean, she's always away somewhere. She was of course missing for 7 years, whilst Meghan was from an age of 11 to 18. She was persona non grata. She was it was like kind of a 7-year vacation that she was on, or a hippie commune. Some allegations unsubstantiated that she was in the slammer. I don't know. I have none of this information. But why isn't she stepping in? Because this is a man that she once loved, that she had a child with. Why isn't Doria in the Philippines looking after her old man? Because, when you divorce someone, there's still that bond, and there's still that history together, that shared life experience. Where's Doria's role in all of this? She should be there. And also, I can tell you now that Harry won't be happy either. Harry will be horrified by these headlines, and Harry most unquestionably finds it all very embarrassing, and no doubt wants Meghan to go to the Philippines and look after her old man, because bad headlines for Harry are bad headlines for Meghan, and bad lines for Meghan are bad headlines for Harry. It's not complicated, is it? It is not complicated at all. Anyhow, listen, I know that we've got to wrap this up. I will say something, which is that, more power to the Mail newspaper for telling us what was happening with Thomas Markle, for giving us that exclusive interview, for having that picture in the update. And it was Dale Carnegie, who's the founding father of self-help books, who said, no one kicks a dead dog. And the fact that the Sussexes have attacked the Mail and the Mail on Sunday is because they know what a powerful newspaper it is. And they know how important the Mail newspaper is. And they know that the Mail newspaper contains something which is like kryptonite for Harry and Meghan, and that is the truth. And the truth is that Meghan is not serious about connecting with her father. The truth is she doesn't care about his well-being. The truth is there is no empathy for a man that's battling death and has lost a limb. The truth is she's more concerned about her public image and how it's going to play out for her career and her social media footprint. The truth is that Harry is powerless to do anything about it. The truth is that it confirms the worst doubts that William and Charles had about the Sussexes, which is that these two are absolutely toxic. Don't go near them, because they are bad headline machines pumping out toxic narratives on a daily basis, whilst a kindly old man who's a dead ringer for Santa Claus battles alone, poor, lonely and sad and in pain, in a Philippines hospital bed thousands of miles away from Harry and Meghan's luxury accommodation in Montecito, California. Folks, another serious show. It's been so great. Another big show coming tomorrow. Stay awesome. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Let me know your thoughts. I want your comments about all of this. I'm horrified. I'm shocked. I'm furious. I'll see you tomorrow. Love you, work. Bye for now.